again, again. You better love me again.
Hi, it's Kevin,
And this is Rick.
and today we're going to address something we get asked all the time on demos. People always ask, especially the factory guys, what makes your machine the best? And the answer to that is, maybe we don't know what's the best, we know what makes us unique, and you be the judge. It all starts with this clear annealed polycarbonate lid, allows the operator to actually look into the entire recovery tank while he's working. He can see the water coming up from the squeegee, going into the drain saver basket. He can see if that basket's full. That lid opens up and gives full access to the recovery tank. So it's kind of like your side-by-side kitchen sink at home when it comes time to clean it out. Water comes in on this side, foam builds up over here. On the other side of the baffle is where we're actually drawing air to the vac motor. So we keep foam away from the vac system. Okay. So on the vac motor side of the baffle, there's some unique protections built in. It starts with stainless screen that has a large float ball inside it. So the big ball will float better on foam. Should we get a full recovery tank or excess foam over here, the plan is that ball gets pulled by vacuum up against the neoprene seal and shuts off airflow to the vac motor. The next defense that's in place is a filter. And you can see by the dirt that's on here, this filter will filter dust and keep solids out of the vac motor. More importantly, the filter doesn't care if it gets wet. So when foam hits it, the airflow sucks the foam into the pad and the foam gets broken back down into a liquid. If a wave hits it, part of the wave bounces back into the tank, the rest gets absorbed into this filter and slowly trickles down this hose towards the vac motor. So this is a simple, inexpensive part that performs a highly valuable task. It keeps solids, foam, and gulps of liquid away from the vac motor. Now I'm going to show you the functionality. Any moisture that gets in here gets drawn down this hose, falls out in the bandow box on the front of the machine. I'm going to show you how that system works. The best way to demonstrate this, I take the lid off that box and I just take some water right out of the scrubber. So now I've got some water to work with and I'm going to pour this into the vac system. Now I'm going to pour this water into that filter with the vac motor running. The filter will absorb the water and then the water will be slowly drawn by the vacuum down the hose into the bandow tank. As I pour this in, you're going to notice water's absorbed. When I shut off the vacuum, the water I poured in up here goes down the hose. It comes into this box. Because the box has a large open chamber, the airspeed falls off and the water falls out of the airflow. The vac motor's mounted all the way around on the other side of the box where the moisture can't get to it. At the end of the day, when you shut your machine off, this duckbill valve, we call it the unloader valve, it draws closed under vacuum and it relaxes when the vacuum turns off and it drained all that water that I poured through the system. The operator controls for all of our machines we refer to as the central command. On all of our walk-behind scrubbers, that is a steel box, sealed up, so if you wash the machine, no moisture gets inside where the electricals are, and it's made to take impact in the beating that machines seem to take when they're out in the world doing work. The other thing we do is no expensive touch screens. So other machines have real slick panels like on your microwave at home. The problem is if they drop something and they damage that, they can be $1,500 or $2,000 to replace. You may be waiting for them to come in on a shipment from overseas. These are non-proprietary marine-style switches designed to work in wet environments, and they're available locally at any of your electrical supply places. So we use simple switches to do simple jobs, and if you have an issue, it's simple to replace and inexpensive. Okay. To operate the machine, we have separate buttons for drive and for reverse. Other machines that do the twist grips or the push paddles, the drive signal is the speed signal, which allows somebody to panic and squeeze on the controls and make the machine go faster. If they're trying to hold it back, the more they squeeze, the harder the machine drives. On our machine, we showed you the two switches that make it drive and go in reverse. But separately, we give you a potentiometer to select the operating speed. So
now we're going to talk about some of the good bits underneath the tank here. So you can see the tank is not structural at all. It actually sits on these giant hinge pins. Pretty much every other machine in the industry, they have things bolted into the tank. There's nothing structural on this tank at all. Another advantage of this, using the big hinge pins, you get full access to everything on the machine. Nobody else has access like this. It sits on a full 7-gauge steel frame. It's actually E-coated, which is plated and then powder coated. You can see every fastener on here is stainless steel, even little 1032s. We do use a full battery box, so if you should have a breakage, this is going to contain all the acid, which is nice. You can see underneath the frame, the machine sits on a 4-point stance. You have two 5-inch by 2-inch casters, which are oversized and high quality. And then you have these large, high quality diameter drive wheels. It provides superior traction and stability for the machine. I'm going to drop the tank down, spin the machine around. So the machine, the squeegee is a swing squeegee. It's also a breakaway. You have these two giant knobs to remove it off the machine, so it's very easy. Undo your vacuum hose. If you look under here, you can actually see your squeegee adjustment. We use a massive turnbuckle. That way it stays solid and true. To be honest, this system requires very little adjustment, where others need to be adjusted almost weekly. Your blade change is very easy. Undo the over center latch. Remove your large band. Remove your small band. And the blade peels right out. This allows you to use all 4 edges of the blade. One in the front, one in the back, and then you have 2 more up top. You can see that solid steel, all stainless fasteners. We have nice large wheels on the edge for when operators are hitting items. We're going to talk about some scrub decks now on our walk-behinds. First, I'm going to cover our cylindrical deck, and then we're going to talk about a standard disc unit. So this is an example of a factory cat cylindrical deck. This has the optional steel. If you get the standard deck, it is mild steel that is E-coated, which is plated first and then powder coated for maximum durability. Stainless is good for any high corrosion applications, salt, food service, food manufacturing, where they're using a lot of disinfectants, which are very corrosive. You can see this deck utilizes a 500-pound actuator. That's a cast body, all metal gears. The thing is indestructible. It's rated for 500 pounds. We don't use all of that, so it's way overbuilt. This is similar to what other people use. It's very wimpy. You can see the difference in the shaft size. This would not even lift our deck, I imagine, because it is so heavy. Next, we'll go to the scrub motors. You can see we use a massive 1-horse, high RPM, American-made motor. This is similar to what other manufacturers will use. They'll use a smaller frame motor, smaller horsepower, but they'll actually use this to run 2 brushes through a gear system, which you get even more loss. Now we're going to talk about our disc decks. So most of our disc deck machines have these massive jaws. We call them HD jaws. You can see they're made out of heavy gauge steel. They're all powder coat paint, has all stainless fasteners on it. Now, to open the jaws up, you undo this over center latch. The jaws swing open and gives you access to your scrub deck. You can see this machine has 3/4 horse motor standard. You can option up to the 1-horse heavy duty motors. The deck is all aluminum for rigidity and durability. Again, we have our famous 500-pound actuator, which we're not even utilizing 100%. Massive arms to keep that deck in level. And if it should take a hit for some reason, if someone's running without jaws or whatnot, this can handle all that impact. And it's all directed back to the frame. So to access your brushes, simply spin the brush until you see the stainless scissor All you do is squeeze that and it pops right off. This is an example of our driver. This is all machined aluminum with a brass insert, and then we actually put hard coating on it, which is harder than steel itself. So I'll give you a visual of what that looks like going in. So you have all that engagement for durability and applying that power to the head.
Damn.